Avengers Assemble Flight Force is the signature roller coaster at Walt Disney Studios. Located in the new Avengers Campus area, this indoor launch coaster is a retheme of the former rock and roller coaster. Most early reviews called this a downgrade, so I went in with relatively low expectations, but I actually think it's better than the old ride experience, and I'll explain why in this review. The then Disney's MGM Studios in Florida opened Rock and Roller Coaster in 1999. This was a launched thrill coaster from Vekoma. It was one of the first coasters to feature a linear synchronous motor or LSM launch, as this accelerated the trains to 57 miles per hour or 92 kilometers per hour. Then the ride featured a convoluted layout in the dark with 3 inversions. The ride was also themed to Aerosmith. The premise is that guests enter the band's recording studio, but Aerosmith is running late for a concert. Rather than leaving everyone behind, their manager orders a super stretch limo to get you there on time. It was a loose theme, but it did work. Then the on-ride experience has you flying past road signs and billboards en route to the concert. The ride's been very popular from day one, since it offers a wilder experience than your typical Disney coaster. This ride was cloned twice. One would be expressed at Wallaby Holland. This one was placed outdoors, so I will be showing a lot of footage of this version throughout the review since you can actually see the layout. The other installation would go to the Disneyland Paris resort, but this was a bit of a curious decision. They already had a launched Vekoma looping coaster in the dark. In 1995, the resort received a unique version of Space Mountain. This one had an uphill launch before heading indoors for an intense layout with 3 different inversions. The ride was well received, and it's credited with saving Disneyland Paris. In 2002, Walt Disney Studios opened as the Paris resort's second theme park. This park's construction was infamously rushed. The park did not open with many rides, but it did have one coaster and Rock and Roller Coaster. While this coaster was also themed to Aerosmith, the story and visuals were a bit different than its Florida counterpart. Let's start with the arrival experience. The Florida version has an impressive plaza. You enter some guitar strings twisted into a coaster track with a limo on top. This stretches back to the entrance building with a giant Les Paul guitar on the side. It is quite a sight to behold. The Paris version just had a plain building with a busy billboard slapped in front of it. This felt a whole lot cheaper. The French version also had a much different story, a much looser one. On this one, you are invited to try a revolutionary music experience. This leads you to boarding sound trackers. Then the on-ride experience lacked the billboards and road signs of the original. Instead, you fly through a room filled with multicolored spotlights and strobe lights. I actually found this to be more disorienting than the visuals of the original, and this experience was paired with onboard audio from Aerosmith once again. Flash forward to 2019. After the busy summer season, Paris's Rock and Roller Coaster was closed. The ride was scheduled to reopen in 2021 as an Iron Man themed coaster. It would be part of an all-new Avengers Campus area. However, the COVID-19 pandemic pushed this opening timeline back to 2022. When the coaster reopened as Avengers Assemble Flight Force, it received a lot of negative reviews. Many preferred the original attraction and called Flight Force a low-budget overlay. People were questioning how it took 3 years to make this change. The park heard everyone's complaints, and they added some additional lighting effects in 2023. This includes a Starfield effect and some extra flashes whenever Captain Marvel flies by. I only experienced this version of Flight Force, and I'll talk more about the effects later, but they honestly worked for me. Flight Force is located in the very back of Avengers Campus. The building was reworked to have this futuristic metallic look, and you enter underneath a Quinjet. Then you enter the queue. The indoor portion has these video screens showing the statuses of different Avengers, and there are all sorts of name drops if you're a fan of the films or comics. Typically, you won't have to wait too long for this ride. The wait is typically less than 15 to 20 minutes. The ride has really good capacity. It has separate load and unload platforms, and it runs multiple trains. Each train holds 24 riders. You have 6 cars, each with 2 rows of 2. If Flight Force does have a queue, it is included in the park's paid Skip the Line system. Premier Access Ultimate allows you to bypass the wait for all eligible rides at the resort once per day. You can enter the queue line anytime you'd like. This costs 100 to 200 euros per day per person, so it is a hefty cost. Alternatively, you can purchase Premier Access 1, which is a single pass for a specific ride. You book a 1-hour return window. Flight Force typically costs 10 to 15 euros per person per ride, but I don't think you need to do this because you can easily avoid this ride's wait without paying extra. You can almost always get on immediately with a single rider line. Just keep in mind this will split your party up and you have no choice of seats. Alternatively, you can ride this early or late in the day. Standby should barely have any wait at these times, although this can cause a bit of an issue for first-time riders. You see, the end of the queue line is a short pre-show with an incredible Iron Man animatronic. However, they will usher you right on through if there's no wait. While this is fine for repeat guests who want to get on faster, it will cause first-time riders to be a bit confused what's happening during the ride because you won't have the backstory. Fortunately, I was able to catch the pre-show and rewrote it in the middle of the day. The premise is that Kree spaceships are heading your way and Captain Marvel needs help. Iron Man put transponders on his hypersonic vehicles that the missiles will lock onto. Guests need to pilot these while the two superheroes take out the spaceships that are tailing you. The pre-show is bilingual. Iron Man speaks French, while the AI and Captain Marvel speak English. You then reach the load platform. It is stylized with metal walls and blue lights. You're then assigned a row, but staff members are happy to accommodate seating requests if you have one. As with Rock and Roller Coaster, my favorite row is the front for the enhanced sense of speed, especially on this one. The trains were rethemed with an illuminated arc reactor in the front, but overall they feel the same otherwise. They still have over-the-shoulder harnesses. I wish this ride got vest restraints like Hyperspace Mountain, but the coaster is fairly smooth, so headbanging thankfully is not an issue here. It is worth knowing all bags need to ride with you. You place these at your feet. It can get a bit cramped if you're on the taller side, so if you think this could be an issue, it's another reason why you may want the front. You have extra legroom up there because of the lead car. Once checked, the dispatch sequence starts. Some lights will flash, and the onboard narration starts. You turn a corner and pause for the pre-launch. I'm used to Florida's Rock and Roller Coaster where you sit here for a good 20 to 30 seconds. On Flight Force, the countdown starts almost immediately. Red lights begin flashing and you see TV screens where Iron Man is powering up his suit. Then you take off. The launch has a solid kick to it, and you get a great sense of speed. You are pulled down a tight corridor with flashing lights. They're red for much of the launch, but you have these blue streaks towards the end that I believe are meant to signify missiles. The main layout takes place in a giant show building. Originally, it was in near total darkness, but it was recently upgraded to have a starfield effect with these twinkling lights, and it gave a similar vibe to Space Mountain as you zip through the building. This environment worked for me. It really accentuated the speed. The best visuals are video screens with our heroes fighting though. They are pretty brief, but they're clear and they're strategically placed during the elements that are not super intense or forceful, so it keeps your engagement level up. Then there are also a few light flashes to further boost the sense of speed, which also worked for me. Then the onboard audio is a mix of the booming Avengers theme song and narration as to what's taking place, and I also think this works well. I love the musical score, and the small snippets of dialogue reinforce what's happening because the video screens you see later in the ride are over in a flash. After the launch, you pull upwards into a sea serpent double inversion. This has strong positive Gs entering and exiting it. Do not be surprised if you start to gray out here from the power. You then have a big turnaround. It's a mild element in terms of force, but it feels fast, and you get a sweet visual as Captain Marvel flies alongside your train in this long video screen. You then twist upwards, getting some laterals towards the top. Then you cruise through a mid-course brake run, although you can't really tell. For one, you don't slow down at all. 2, you are preoccupied by a little show scene as you see Captain Marvel and Iron Man firing at the villains. You then dive downwards, rebuilding your speed. It is further reinforced by some light streaks adjacent to the train. You then have a quick turnaround, and then you're told to take evasive action as you careen through a corkscrew. This third and final inversion sneaks up on you, and it's pretty disorienting in the dark. Then comes another turnaround. Above you, you'll see Iron Man blowing up some ships. You then continue into another mid-course brake run. Like the first one, you don't slow down, and you have another video screen. Here, you will see Iron Man and Captain Marvel firing energy blasts. And I love what happens next. You have a wide turn adjacent to a video screen. You see those aforementioned energy blasts hitting spaceships, blowing them up. The placement was perfect. You then have a little bunny hump and charge into the brake run. The Avengers theme becomes louder, signifying your victory. You then reach the unload platform, ending your 3,268 foot or 996 meter long journey. I hinted at this throughout the review, but I was really impressed by the sense of speed. Part of that was the visuals, but it feels like as fans blowing like Space Mountain, you get that rush of wind effect. And it also runs faster than its Florida counterpart. I clocked flight forces 4 to 5 seconds faster than Rock and Roller Coaster, and it definitely feels quicker. So, what would I rate Avengers Flight Force? I would give this coaster a 7.5 out of 10. I enjoyed this coaster more than anticipated, and I do think it's an upgrade over Rock and Roller Coaster. I think the story is better. You have some battle sequences during the ride. While the screens are quick, they are clear, and they're put in good locations to improve the pacing. Then the Starfield effect amplifies the sense of speed, which is probably the biggest strength of the coaster itself. This ride feels so much faster than Rock and Roller Coaster. Then it starts with that fun launch, and all three inversions are really nice elements. I do think Hyperspace Mountain is the best coaster at Disneyland Paris, but this is the best coaster at Walt Disney Studios, and if you go in with an open mind like me, you may have an enjoyable experience as well. So those are my thoughts on Avengers Assemble Flight Force at Walt Disney Studios. What are your thoughts about this coaster? Do you think it was an upgrade over Rock and Roller Coaster? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this review, I would appreciate it if you gave this video a like, and you consider subscribing, because there'll be a lot more roller coaster amusement park videos here at Canopy Coaster. Thanks for watching.